Did you find it? Find it, Doris? What was it?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome. We have just a little bit of housekeeping to do after our executive session. So I'm going to read a little bit here. The time is now 7:01 p.m. and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were me, Mayor Holly Rogan, Mayor Pro Tem Jocelyn Farrell, Trustee Ted Ellison, Trustee Paula Williams, Trustee Tanya Dottie, Trustee Glenn Delman, Project Manager Tracy Sanders, Attorney Brandon Dittman, Administrator Victoria Simonson, and Town Clerk Dolores Vasquez.
Town Engineer Justin.
And Town Engineer Justin Doles. Thank you. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matter is not included in the motion to go into executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I ask that you state your concerns for the record. Thank you. We'll continue with our regular meeting. And the first thing we do is read our land acknowledgement. We must acknowledge with respect as non-native people that the land on which we stand, live, and learn is the traditional territory of the Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho peoples. We also recognize the 48 contemporary tribal nations that are historically tied to the lands that make up the state of Colorado. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any amendments to the agenda? Okay.
And that motion passes unanimously.
You. We'll take a reflective moment of silence tonight. We've been thinking a lot about the tragedy on Maui and how we all know that fear. So sending healing to the folks there. Thank you. Okay, so now's the time for audience business. I'm so glad to see we have an audience to hear business from tonight. So when you come on up to the podium, just state your name and address for the record, and then everybody has 3 minutes. So Clerk Vasquez.
I've got Adrian Kirk listed first, but they may be here for business later on in
Yeah.
the agenda.
Yeah.
Okay. Next we have Lydia Holzman.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Mayor. Thank you for your time. My name is Lydia Holzman. I live up the hill at 210 Ewald. We moved to Lyons about 3 years ago. And I came down tonight to talk to you a little bit about what we view as a safety problem for the folks that live up on the side of the hill that access town through Miley and Prospect. We walk our kids to school. I turn onto Highway 7 daily. It is so way too fast. It's 25 miles per hour. I almost got hit the other day. Excuse me. So I would just like to point out some of the problems we see. The pedestrian crosswalk is really poorly signed. There's one side, it's way over like 15 feet off of the road. There's cars parked on Highway 7 frequently, so you can't see when you're trying to cross or turn. It's kind of both at Prospect and on Miley as you're kind of crossing Highway 7. I mean, I love the safe passage to school and the new pedestrian bridge, but for us, we got to get over Highway 7. It's very difficult. The cars come down Highway 7 coming into town. It goes so quickly from 50 to 35 to 25. There's that flashing light. It's not currently working. There's often RVs parked on the side of the road. Again, you just can't see. There's one no parking sign on the side of the road, but it faces the road and it's offset, and you just like cars park there all the time. So there's no sidewalk signage. Really unsafe. So that's the problem. What I look to the town and the board of trustees to do is think about ways that we can improve the safety for the, 30, 35 homes that are up there. Can we take control of that stretch of Highway 7 that's in town and regulated by the town, not CDOT? I know it's a state highway, but there seems to be very little enforcement. Add signage, improve signage. Can we get like one of those bumpers in the middle of the road, like you have at Lejeune Burn Johnson, that notifies the pedestrian crosswalk? Some lawn furniture, slow cars down. They put them in at Jamestown. They're all over the mountain towns. They slow the cars down because you got to move around these objects, right? They hit a roundabout or, put a planter in the middle of the road, slow the car down so it's not a human or a car. The speed warning, I don't know why it's not working. It'd be great if it could get fixed, but it also is confusing because you come down and it says 35 and there's just that speed warning thing, but you don't know that it's supposed to be 25. I mean, I would love for the town to have a 20-mile-per-hour, vision zero limit throughout town like they have in Boulder.
That's the speed limit in town is 20 miles an hour.
Oh, well,
The highways though.
Except that that's, yeah.
oh, well, yeah, because cars aren't going anywhere near 20. On that road. So, bumpers, traffic, signs, just make it safer for our kids to be able to cross Highway 7, get to school, get to the parks. Just make my turn in the morning when I go to work. So, and I know, I've heard the jurisdictional issues is that CDOT, if there's something we can do to advocate for CDOT or take that on, I'm happy to work with you all and be that advocate against CDOT, but I'd really love to see some improvement on the road safety there. And, on the weekends too, when there's festivals, and it's not right now, like right now it's fine, but when the traffic is high and the visitors are coming through town, that's when it's heightened and it's really, I've had so many close calls. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And I'm sure Sergeant Sears here is taking notes to catch some of the speeders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ironically, my brother was in town recently and he got a ticket. But I'm like, I don't know get the tickets, but anyways.
Well, thank
yeah.
you very much.
So
Appreciate
thank you.
it.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, and just so you know, we don't respond to audience business. So it's not that we don't want to, because I'm sure we all do.
Yeah.
But we'll be discussing it with staff.
Yeah, and again, I'm happy to help and be the advocate or contact CDOT or whatever it needs if that's the jurisdictional issue that we're confronting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Clerk Vasquez?
Next we have Magali Fournier. I said her last
Yes,
name.
we did. Very
I
impressive.
did?
You did.
Hello, everybody.
Good evening.
Name?
That's beautiful.
Okay, so I just celebrated my 50th birthday and
Would
my
you
green
please,
card.
would you please state your name and
Oh,
address?
yes, sorry, my name is Magali Fournier. And so I
And
did a,
address, please.
oh yeah, 203 Old Main Street.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I just had my 50th birthday and I obtained my green card last January. And so I just wanted to send you a message and to show you this painting. So this painting is my way to show Lions and its community my gratitude for all the help I have received. I arrived here in April 2017 and didn't have a clue what to expect from this new place, but I felt a real sense of well-being. During a very difficult time, I decided to stay and ask for help, and I found some incredible people here. Lions made me the best version of myself, and that came with being honest with myself, loving myself more so I can love more the people around me. I received compassion and understanding from this community, and I felt so touched by this that I wanted to give a gift to the town. It was during this hard time that I started to paint because I had to express these feelings I had inside, encouraged by Sonny Smith and Annie Mannering, also artists from Lions.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. We're having just a little bit of technical difficulties here. Would,
Edward King.
yeah, I see that. Edward King, would you like to address the board for audience business? If so, please state your name and address for the record.
Edward Keene, 228 Welch Drive, Lyons, 80540. Is that coming through?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
So we're on the list of things to look for as far as traffic, streets, et cetera. I want to point out, I think, what a new problem we might have, and that is coming out of the north end of Bone Park. We have a new trail along 4th Avenue. We have a new bridge going over the North St. Vrain. That at the north end of that bridge hits the ground again at 4th and Evans roughly. And then continues on for about another half a block where you run into, I guess that would be Evans, which is the corner of the excavation company. The first corner you hit, the excavation company is across the street. What happens there is if you're walking or riding your bike north on that trail and trying to sort of enter the downtown, is you run into no markings at all really of any kind except a stop sign for the traffic going east on Evans. And so far twice I've had cars come up to that stop sign and do a normal human behavior, which is to sort of stop, but sort of run the stop sign. And the issue is you've kind of got a trail there, which I think is also safe route to schools. And I think what we need is some signage telling the path user that they're entering a street, and some signs for the car traffic to alert them that a trail is crossing right there. So I just wanted to get that on the list of stuff to take a look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Would anyone else online like to address the Board of Trustees during audience business? Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. You're of course welcome to stay. It's going to be exciting, I guarantee it. Okay, Boulder County Sheriff report.
Hello, good evening. So the traffic, so actually I talked to Ed at one of the festivals, so that was the Rocky or Folk Fest. And that's on working on that, and as well as some other maybe some trees need to be trimmed, stuff like that, just around town. But to talk, so 5th Avenue, right here is a high place where our deputies run traffic. The Afton Park, kind of in the middle, kind of by Prospect or Park area, but so that's especially when it gets busy in town, that's they're out there and parking out there. So I added to the list for especially in the mornings to get out there for, I'm guessing that's most of the mornings, right? For the day to go to school.
Yeah,
And that's coming into town.
that's all. I mean, it doesn't matter when I'm crossing, but yes, that would be ideal. I would love that. It'd be great.
Let's see, so just big, I want to talk about the family from Idaho that was kind of dropped off and abandoned here last week. So big shout out to the town and you know, everyone that helped with them. I know everyone had a part. I know, I think Dolores made dinner, and I know there's a ton of people who helped out, but I was here, but in an online training, so I kind of saw a little bit of it, but so it's awesome to see, you know, 4 strangers get dropped off and everyone going around in circles just trying to find some things, you know, simple things for them. So they're very appreciative. I talked to a few of them a couple times at the substation, so they're very appreciative. So currently the last update was from Saturday. They got staying in the hotel in Louisville until they're trying to, the victim assistance is trying to get them to get back to Idaho. So I guess they have a storage unit in Wyoming that has pretty much most of their stuff in it, so they're just trying to figure that out. So, but yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone who helped them, and appreciate that. It's really today. The Lions Community Barbecue is this Friday at 5 at the high school. We're kind of, I don't want to say it's a makeup national night out, because it's not, because I don't want to take away from their event, but we are using pretty much all the food we had from that. We're donating it to that to this event. We can't do it all the time.
I was just kind of curious, as we're talking about budgets that are going to be coming up soon, and I was just wondering.
As well, so. And they have the speed radar bands that like, retired people go out and they mail them tickets, which, you know, that's a huge program, so. But we can definitely do that, that's a pretty good, like.
Trustee
Well,
Duffy.
I have a question about those mobile, speed, detectors. I can't remember.
The
what they call
trailers?
them. The trailers.
Speed
Is that town owned or sheriff?
Town.
It's town. But, so, and is that something that the town moves about?
Yeah, we move around.
Yeah.
And so if you got places, always open for, you're sitting on Fifth Avenue for a while. It lasts for a couple weeks before it needs to recharge, so. I just, let me know, and we'll get it.
Well, yeah, it sounds like we might need to move it.
And I was thinking even if the cars coming into town, come up there is, we can make it work for sure, but I just gotta look at the area and see if it's safe to put it there, and then once we get out of town, if it's okay, we'll see how that's exactly what we do.
Yeah, I think it's good to remind people that it's 25 miles per hour, because when they're coming in from a highway, they just.
Well, it has a radar flashing sign that works sometimes, and
Yeah.
it doesn't always work.
You can look from, because I run through there and it always picks me up running.
Okay.
You're running to the
Yeah.
Are you exceeding the speed limit?
Yeah, of course.
So,
It's always
and
like six. Six.
I'm just curious, I noticed from the statistics here that last year there was a total of 445 tickets, and this year we're at 444 already in August. So I'm assuming that till the end of the year, I don't know if we're going to double this number, or we're obviously going to increase
Yeah, I
from
mean,
last year.
it's definitely gonna go by a couple hundred, just depends on.
Nothing after.
Oh, I see. It's through the tourist season, is that it?
No, but most of this comes from extra duty. So the town offers traffic enforcement, and I grew up in Longmont, I always was told, don't ever speed through lines, because, it's. Take that seriously, so it's, most of it's, because our deputies are so busy and we have such a huge area to cover, and calls are, obviously, we're up to 480 calls from last year, so. It's hard for our deputies to get out there, especially during the day, to run traffic, so most of this is from extra duty. So.
Got it.
Any other questions? Is the graffiti person hitting the same spot over and over again?
It's same areas, but it's, yeah, so I have some ideas and theories and some things I'm working on to get them in the act. But if anyone sees something different or anything, or,
It does appear to be a local, and it does appear that it's a very small kind of, it's not your typical spray paint can, it's more like thick marker. And so it's much quicker and easier to disguise. So,
and you can tell some of them are so quick, you just like, some of them are really like nice, or like not nice, but like they had time, and another one are just like, so I don't know, it's not gang related, I have no idea, reason to believe that at this point.
everywhere, I mean, that one weekend.
I think I got, I have a running list of just from that, since that weekend, but I think today Crystal sent us like 8 emails or 10 emails. It's like, oh, we found some here. Oh, it's just within, she's like, it wasn't there at, 2 o'clock today, so. It's
Middle of the day.
middle of the day type stuff.
Well, I'm sure
It usually happens at night, but.
We need Mitch to be talking to the high school.
Well, I show him the pictures.
They'll talk to Mitch.
And just to see if, this design or whatever's on like Walker.
Right, well, I'm confident you'll catch the person.
So then it'll be up to the town to.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yes.
Be safe.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, administrators report, please.
My report is short tonight. In your packets was the administrator's report, a wastewater treatment facility updates, and then the 10-year flood commemoration schedule of events. So in regard to administrative issues, we are proceeding on the housing assessment. We have another meeting tomorrow, and they said their fact gathering is going well. And they had more input one night at our concert than they had in one of the local mountain communities through their whole time. So they were really pleased with that. US 36 to Boulder, as you know, the road is now open again. They do think they're going to begin the rest of their operations starting at the end of this week. And we'll finalize the first week of October. So that's the striping between J Road and Apple Valley. But if there are any lane closures, they'll be much shorter and more intermittent. So that's going to go on a little longer. Broadway road improvements, that group has
Already getting the.
started
staging there, yeah.
getting staging ready. They're working with Moss Rock. They're going to allow them to stage some of our materials there, so that's working well. And so the first things you're probably gonna be seeing, as well as the electric undergrounding, will be the removal of all the shrubbery on the north side of the depot and the library, which is gonna be pretty shocking for folks. And then moving the curb line back, all the concrete work will be coming first. So the curb, gutter and the 10-foot multimodal path. So that will all be starting here soon. So it might be torn up during our September 10th events, but it'll be the north side of Sandstone Park. Venus de Miles is scheduled to have their events, just the most impactful to the roadway will be at the time they take off in the morning. We've hosted this numerous years with no issues. Also, the summer artisan market was rescheduled for September 9th, so that's pretty exciting at Bowman Park. Hope everybody can come out and join us. Live music, local artisans, food, and refreshments, so it should be a fun time, and music. And then Main Stage wanted to be sure that the board knew that they are going to be hosting their Oktoberfest again this year. They don't want anyone calling in the noise and things like that, because they are in the overlay district. They can have their music amplified, and they said they will stop promptly at 9 p.m. So if you guys hear how long that's going to be going, but it is September 15th and 16th. It's not October, but that's when they're hosting. So those are a few things going on. In regard to the wastewater, did anyone want more detail from Director Kaplan from the memo, or?
We're good.
Good. And anybody who's the chair of that committee, give that update to you guys. So any other, I do want to respond just a little bit, I guess, about the Highway 7 as well. I just want to reassure you, we will pass your concerns on to CDOT. But I do know that one of their concerns about a more formal crosswalk at that location is that CDOT prohibits crosswalks that are not at the end of blocks, because their drivers are not expecting a crosswalk mid-block. And so it'll be a tough battle to try to get it. It may be the end of the block on the west side, but it's not on the east side. And so that's one of the things when we've tried to do this before, was they really don't encourage or want a crosswalk there. And but I will definitely, we will follow up with them. We have a very good relationship with the folks, and we'll let them know that the light is not flashing, and that, can we pursue this again? And, maybe there's some different views on it than the last time we brought this up. And so, sorry, you have to talk to me afterwards or call me. But just so you know what they've said in the past, but we are working with them right now to make Highway 7 no parking all the way from the edge of town. That's all the further we can go to this corner at Railroad. And I think Dave's planning to get those installed.
But I thought they started here already.
Okay.
I know we've been
So it's
getting
coming.
it to the ground.
That part's coming. So that's kind of an update on what I know just from, hearing audience business tonight. But we will certainly follow up with them and at least get the light fixed and get those no parking signs up while we work on a crosswalk.
Thank you. You're welcome. Questions for administrators?
Oh, we do have one more item
Yes.
that we just want to make the board and the public aware of, and that's in regard to a new practice that the Lions Fire Protection District is implementing, and I'm gonna go ahead and cover that.
So the Lions Fire Protection District and the town, we had a couple calls earlier in the summer about actual slash pile burns. So wanting to burn a larger amount of material. And the Lions Fire Protection District is trying to work out between just a larger slash pile burn and what we might call a recreational fire. So we've had some back and forth. They have it in their purview or in the actual International Fire Code on regulations there. So they can issue according to their regulations, but they of course want to work with the town and make sure we're supporting each other as we move forward. So we've worked out a document that I think is pretty good in that you do need to get a permit for a slash type burn, 6 by 6 by 6. We're stating it at the top. They have a document they'd like to start using. We didn't get that out. I didn't know if it was specifically approval or just discussion on that. But they start with the slash type burn and a permit is required. And then the second half of that page talks about recreational fires and starts highlighted non-permitted to try to say they're not required to have a permit, but they have had concerns about the number of calls they get just because people see smoke.
Where they smell like what we're smelling right
Something's
now.
going on
and they
and
don't
they
know
get
if
the
it's-
call. And so it started out that they wanted to have people calling for recreational fires when they were having. On the staff side, that seemed to be a little much, whether they wanted that, they said they were okay with it because it will reduce calls going out. But we reworded it to sort of talk about the recommendation of calling in because the neighbors may be calling in for a fire, and this may prevent the fire department from showing up at your campfire or recreational fire. I can say just actually over, or I think it was just last weekend that I got 2 texts because a neighbor had a fire burning. And people were wondering, so it does happen. Hopefully people see this and say, okay, maybe I will call just to keep it noticed and not have to deal with the fire department showing up at a party or something. The one area I had still comments was in that document, they are asking that any recreational fire shall be constantly attended by an adult 18 years old or older until the fire is completely out. I thought that was rather old myself, so I should leave it to let you guys take your own thoughts into consideration of whether 16 years old, when you let somebody start driving, or 15. Again, I was in the Boy Scouts and doing campfires myself. I know things are up there now as more concern. You also have the ideas of, right, you're out driving and driving is a concern. Where do we draw the lines of safety versus trying to have people take responsibility? So in staff, we were still discussing a little bit on the 18-year-old. And I think that was really maybe a question or wondering what the board thought on age limit for that. And in general, the feelings on this document going out stating slash burns are to be permitted, recreational fires. It would be helpful if you call into the fire department because you don't have the fire department show up.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions for Administrator Simonson or Utilities Director Kaplan about the fire permitting?
So I have a question. With the fire permits, do you need to call in if it's in a contained space or just on the ground?
Daily and recreational fires, but they did have it, the recreational type fire is not in a camp type fire circle, burn container or the like. They still would like you to call in. It says if it's not in the container, the fire crew will inspect the location where you want to conduct your recreational fire to ensure it does not present a fire threat to the surrounding area. So for them, it is more the smoke aspect and neighbors calling for someone to come in. So they would like it either way for people to call, but it is just a suggestion or requesting. They say we are requesting before you burn. Call.
Thank you. Any other questions? Ted, go ahead. Trustee Epstein.
With the road striping that's been done, we did in the town,
Mhm.
is there any more that's gonna happen? Because it's really great how it identifies where the fire hydrants are and all that. And I was walking the way, we noticed something like that.
So it's my understanding that they got their time frame they had allowed for our project ran out, so they had to go to another project and they're supposed to come back.
Okay.
But also, after our budget discussion, you will be doing that additional striping. And, David Kimmett met with, Principal Moore today, and they came up with, pretty hardy plan for around elementary.
Great.
So, do you know the timing on that?
No, they were talking about it earlier, Dave and Dustin. Still waiting to hear back from the contractor.
But anytime, I mean, they're finishing whatever project they had scheduled and then coming back.
Okay, I was just curious.
So it's not done. It's not done.
Trustee Dati.
Well, I just wanted to remind the community that if they have any questions pertaining to these permits or anything pertaining to the fire department, that there's going to be another community gathering tomorrow evening.
Thank you.
At the fire.
At
district.
the fire department.
Does anyone know what time? No,
No.
they can look it up.
They can, yeah, we can look that. Okay, great, thank you very much. Legal update, Attorney Dittman.
Nothing new for me, Mayor Rogan. Thankfully for all of us, it's been pretty quiet on the legal front.
Oh, that's great news. Good job.
For once, right?
Thank you. Any questions for Attorney Dittman? Okay, great. Is there a motion to adjourn as the Board of Trustees and convene as the Lions Liquor Licensing Authority?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Great.
And that motion passes unanimously.
We are now convened as the Lions Liquor Licensing Authority. We're here to talk about the transfer of the Moxie Mercantile liquor license. Staff report, please.
Yes, so I've been working with Rick, for quite a while. Oh, I just lost the name again. There it is. Working with Rick on this. As you know, Moxie was, set up on Main Street. They've been at the new location at the Stone Pup for several months now, I think. So this was just kind of tying up loose ends. This is basically just a modification of premise. That's why there's not a public hearing. But they've filled out all the paperwork, completed everything they need. They are ready to go, and I believe they're also online if the board has any questions. I will just point out one thing. This one is kind of an anomaly. We just approved the liquor license for Fada, who's going to be the other business on the back end of that. So, and so their licenses are not going to cover the same premises. It's got to be different. There's control, which is identified. It's just Moxie operates more in the morning till mid-afternoon, and I believe that is when Fada will kick in. So,
Any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, so actually that does bring up a question. So does this mean that the liquor license would only be valid during their operating hours?
yes, and for their premises, there's the difference right there too.
Right.
Right.
So for example, if they close at 3 or at 4.
Right, who's gonna serve alcohol when they're closed?
Right. Well, I wasn't sure if, like, for example, they had a special event on the weekend, for example.
But that
Because
would
that-
still be their operating
because-
hours.
Okay, so the audio and the parking lot?
Yes, and Stone Cup had it licensed that way as well, during COVID. Mini Talent came in, she was actually my first one who licensed the entire area. Fada did not go out that far.
So just FYI, they've been having audio issues all night, so they'll be back in a little bit.
Yeah, great.
Other questions for Clerk Vasquez?
I'm sorry, I still need clarification. So if Moxie hosts a special event at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, their liquor permit will tell me that, okay, thank you.
Anyone else? I would entertain a motion. It is on page 13 of the packet.
I move to approve the application of Moxie Lions LLC DBA Moxie Mercantile for transfer of location for an existing hotel restaurant. Liquor license based on the findings set forth in the staff report of the August 21, 2023 meeting, and based on the following additional findings. The applicant is of good moral character and not prohibited licensing premises are suitable based on review and submitted and testimony received. The hearing indicates that existing efforts are inadequate to serve the person needs of the code, and that there is a need and desire for an additional time license establishment has much better reasonable requirements of the neighborhood. I further move to direct town staff to notify the state of Colorado Liquor Enforcement Division of this approval. Is that appropriate, given that there is not a public hearing?
Right, and I think that may have been an error where it was just copied from the last one, so,
Okay,
yeah, you can.
that the premises are suitable based on a review of the plans submitted and previous indication that existing outlets are inadequate to serve the thirst needs of the neighborhood, and that there is a need and desire for an additional time and license establishment is measured by the reasonable requirements of the neighborhood. Further move to direct town staff to notify the state of Colorado Liquor Enforcement Division.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Okay. call for vote. Okay, is there a motion to adjourn as the Lions Liquor Licensing Authority and reconvene as Board of Trustees? Second?
Second.
Okay.
That motion passed unanimously.
Great. So tonight we have one first reading, and that is ordinance 1151, an ordinance of the town of Lyons, Colorado, amending section 13-1-150 of the Lyons Municipal Code regarding late fees and utility services. For the staff report, please.
So I think Aaron, unless you want to jump in, I can jump in to say that unfortunately the wrong version of this ordinance was inadvertently uploaded. So I think we will be requesting a continuance on this one in the next meeting. I don't know if it was the board's desire for us to briefly introduce what this is about or just move on straight to the continuance.
I would like to make a motion to continue this to a date certain to the September 5th meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote on that motion.
And that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing more on September 5th. Clerk Beck says, will you please read the consent agenda into the record?
Yes, item 1 is resolution 2023-55, a resolution of the town of Lyons, Colorado, awarding and approving a professional services agreement for a wayfinding analysis and plan with Michael Baker International for the town of Lyons wayfinding project. Item 2 is resolution 2023-56, a resolution of the town of Lyons, Colorado, making the 2021 edition of the International Fire Code as amended by the Lyons Fire Protection District in their resolution 2023-04, effective within the borders of the town of Lyons. Item 3 is the July 31st, 2023 Special Board of Trustees meeting minutes. Item 4 are the August 7th, 2023 regular Board of Trustees meeting minutes. And item 5 are the August accounts payable.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
A motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Anything anyone would like to remove tonight? Great. I'll call for a vote.
And that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Excuse me, we have no boards and commissions tonight. So we will move on to general business. And the first item is an amplified music extension request for Rage to the Grave. Staff report, please.
Staff received a request from Leaf for an extension to our amplified music ordinance. And I believe Ricken is here. Do you want to talk about that?
Would you like to make the request or?
Yeah. Where do I do that?
Welcome,
just
come
up
on.
here. Okay. So Grave to the Grave is our annual fundraiser for LEAF, and we have moved the event back from the traditional weekend before Halloween, where it was on the Friday, to now the weekend before Halloween, so that we can move it to Saturday. And so this event requires, because it's now at Laverne Johnson Park, requires quite a bit of setup. You know, we bring in a stage, we bring in sound, whatever, speakers and all of it, light and all of that. So we're requesting that we could extend our amplified sound to 10:30 in order to kind of keep the party going, I guess, for just a little bit longer. Because we are moving up the date, also for weather concerns, I think it's gonna be a little warmer, that we will have more sunlight, so the daylight, you know, will be more significant, and, you know, so allowing us to start or stay a little longer will, you know, perhaps help with everyone being and having fun and showing up when it's dark and the lights are more appreciated.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, are there any questions for Regan?
I'm curious, what time did you all end last year?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, and so this is just at 10:30.
Can somebody remind me what the cutoff is now?
10 o'clock.
Thank you. The town ordinance.
Great, thank you. All right, thoughts?
Staff. So I know that there is also though an overlay ordinance where we can found it. For downtown businesses through an application process, it's limited outdoor activity overlay for live music. And it can go through a simple application till 10:30 p.m. Now, I recognize that this is strictly for downtown. So technically, it's basically just Main Street. But we're talking about maybe 2 football fields to the center of Lyons, Laverne and Johnson Park. So I was just kind of curious, could this in essence be applicable to that?
No, the overlay map was vetted with public hearings and input, and it only involves the commercial district where this is a park space. So it would have to, the ordinance would have to be reopened and include this if you're interested in doing that. So no, this is purely just if you are wanting to, you know, waive this code for this event. At this point, unless you decide you want to bring it up and extend the overlay district.
But we have the option this evening to consider an exception.
Sure. Other questions? Trustee Dati?
I'm waiting for discussion.
Questions?
Okay, well, since this seems like an exception and
I
it's,
actually have a question. Should there be a motion before this discussion?
This is discussion.
Okay, well,
yes, so because this sounds like an exceptional circumstance, which happens once a year, and it sounds like an extra 30 minutes, and I feel like it's such a great cause that we all support. I feel like if we were able to communicate with the community that there would be amplified sound till 10:30, and I feel really good about this moving forward.
Thank you. Trustee Elson?
So,
yeah, that's how I feel. I feel that we're only talking about half an hour. You're going through the approval process. This is a business that's going rogue that we've had in town before. This is for a cause that is a fundraiser that, you know, is helpful to our community for people that are in need. So to me, an extra half an hour is not significant
Communication.
A million to people who are trying to sleep.
I'm from New York, where it's routinely 11.
Well, and
Ten seems awfully early.
I know.
I'm gonna be the lone dissenter here, and say that, I do have concerns about going past 10 o'clock. There's a reason that the ordinance, it ends at 10 o'clock, the music ends at 10 o'clock. And if we grant this, we are likely going to have many, many, many more requests to extend. I also, I mean, and I love Brave to the Grave, great time, and I'm a huge supporter of Leaf. I was giving out wristbands last year, and people were highly inebriated at the start of the event. And I'm concerned about it going half an hour later. I don't know that, Leaf could make more money in those 30 minutes. So, I mean, it looks like it's the board as a whole would like to move forward and grant this, but I just want to state for the record that I have some serious concerns about it. So you have your 30 minutes. Okay, next up, we have Adrian Kirk with the Community Farm Project update. And come on up. And I'll start this off by saying the last board was seated when the Lions Community Farm Project started. And so we decided to provide a water tap and some other assistance to get this project off the ground. And I know that this board might not have the same background about it. So I asked Adrian to come here and tell us a little bit about it and how it's going. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for having us, for me. Sometimes I have to say we.
Yeah.
So updates. We have grown, we have established the actual food forest, and we're using the tap. When it doesn't rain, thankfully, this isn't raining lately, which I really enjoy. Let's see. We have, can I just name off some of the things we have in the food forest?
Yeah, please.
All right, we have tomatoes, mostly cherry tomatoes. My child and all her friends come and enjoy them. I know the neighbors, I just had a neighbor meeting, it went well. And now they know that there's cherry tomatoes over there and they're gonna be helping themselves. We have strawberries, we have raspberry bushes, we have blackberry bushes, we have the mulberry trees that are in front, which kind of invite people in. And we just kind of honed in the entryway a few days ago, actually on Sunday, that's our volunteer day, from like 2 to 4. So people know that they can come in. There's a little bit of signage, but it's mostly just like me and my kid doing some artwork to promote it a little bit. Our budget is still pretty small, but we are talking to the foundation to expand it. We are hoping to work with Glenn and his orchard idea. We have followers from our Facebook group of 350 plus people that are willing to contribute their time to help take care of the orchard. I have Olivia Spada, I don't know if you know her. She's
back when that board approved the water tap. So I knew about it without ever reading about it elsewhere.
I have been doing everything mostly myself. So there's a lot of things I need to address. I try to address them as like it comes to me. So that's a good question.
Well, and I see that the Susan McCann from the Res Gen Review is on the Zoom, so maybe she can write an article.
All right.
So are you
You're doing too.
Oh, no.
I'm gonna go pick some tomatoes because mine aren't doing anything. Okay, next up, we have discussion direction on naming Stacy parcel. We don't have a staff report.
They're the only staff, this came out as part of the flood commemoration committee and trying to identify how do we tell the public where we're having some of these events. And so at your last meeting, you talked about Confluence Park. Confluence Circle for just the gathering circle on the far southwest corner of the property. Apparently, I think it was kind of an organic process by Trustee Daddy. I was not at the Park and Rec meeting. The two of you were. If you want to share what you're thinking, and then I can fill in gaps regarding what we talked last time about buyout, floodplain, and some of that. But this is really no action tonight. This is discussion direction.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so I think most of you were here last time when I talked, I think you all saw this map. We're talking about this Stacy parcel, which is about 6 acres here. We will be holding a candlelight vigil on the 10th anniversary of the flood, which is Monday, September 11th. And you can see this little circle here is the gathering circle, or we named it the Confluence Circle for marketing purposes, and that is being done right now this week. You'll see a lot of construction happening there with wood chips going in and a slab of the cottonwood tree that fell down over by the post office and big boulders coming in from a local quarry. And so this is part of the Dr. Bott plan. What we encountered as town administrators was how do we explain where people meet us for the candlelight vigil? We kept, not everybody knows what the Stacy parcel is. A lot of times we're trying to explain 4th and Prospect, they don't see that. So then we talk about the Rocky Mountain Botanic Gardens and how it's across from there. So really it was to be able to put something here on our schedule of events for our program where people can see where they're going for this event. So basically what the committee did way back early July was they sent out a letter. I have this copy of this letter here to all the residents of the Confluence Circle, letting them know that this is what the committee was planning, if there were any issues, and also if they had any ideas or recommendations for names. So we didn't really hear back from anybody via email. I know the chair of the Lions Arts and Humanities Commission spoke to a resident who actually has an adjacent property. I feel like it's right here, John Adams' property, and he seemed pretty happy with the idea, the Dr. Bott plan, the gathering circle. He liked the idea of Confluence Circle. And we realized that really is just naming this spot. So what we were looking for was how could we name this whole parcel? We discussed with as a committee what were some options of names. We talked about Volunteer Spirit Park, Stone Circle Park, South Side Park, which is a historic reference, Grit and Fortitude Park, Confluence Park, and St. Vrain Park, because it's literally the confluence of the South and North St. Vrain Creeks right there. And then I went to the Parks and Rec Commission last week and presented this park idea to them and talked about different ideas that the committee had brought forward. There was one commissioner on the Parks and Rec Commission who lives in the confluence, Commissioner Pollard. And he had suggested maybe we could name it after a resident who lives in the confluence, such as Joe Neckrell or Dave Orbach. And the commissioner, or I should say the chair of the commission, actually suggested Confluence Community Park. And it seemed like the commission as a whole seemed to like this name. So this is the process that the committee has gone through organically, just looking for public input through, letters dropped at the door, talking to people, going to the Parks and Rec Commission. And so now I feel like it's up to the board to decide on whether they want to name this park before the event, if they want to have more public input, or.
Okay, well, I'm a little confused. So I totally understand the need to be able to direct people where to go. So,
Well, and
if the circle is called the Confluence Circle,
Mhm.
that's a circle, why is there a need to rename the whole parcel if it's a buyout property? We don't, and we're not talking about rezoning it, so what?
So there are a couple of things. One, I think the committee feels really strongly about having a legacy moving forward from this 10th anniversary of the flood. So I think, having this park, naming this park, and also,
But it's not a park.
well, so here's the thing. Also, over the course of the last 5 months, we've had a lot of discussion around where we're headed, where we are 10 years post flood. And I think we've talked a lot about flood recovery projects over the last 10 years. I think there have been 4 board of trustees before us focused on flood recovery. And there's been a lot of discussion around FEMA buyout properties since the flood. And I think this is a way to move forward, that we're no longer referring to this parcel of land as a FEMA buyout property, because that takes us back to the flood. I think this is a way of moving forward.
So my question would be, what are the, and this is to staff, what are the implications of naming this parcel a park, if any?
Attorney Dittman and I have talked about this. Yeah. Oh, he looks like he wants to go first.
Yeah,
Oh, can you guys hear me? And I know we've had troubles all night.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We can hear
No
you.
worries. I just wanna make sure, as I can't see you guys, which is fine. And now that I can hear you better, it seems like. So, there's restrictions that attach to parkland in terms of what we can do with it in the future. Namely, whether or not we can, sell that, subdivide that, rezone it. And so, I think there's at least an argument that if we were to call it a park, even if we didn't rezone it a park, that those restrictions would attach. And so it's not without risk unless we really are all agreeing that this is a park and it's going to stay a park, basically forever. And if there's just a portion of this we want to be a park, then it really is incumbent upon us to subdivide it before taking that action. And so those are some of the things, we've talked about as potential issues with, even naming this as a park, because there are restrictions under both our code and under Colorado law for what you can do in the future with parkland.
So my question then, I guess, is with the Dr. Bob plan that's in place, if we were to turn it into a park, are we losing an opportunity that's in the Dr. Bob? Because it's been a long time since I read that.
Sure.
That a park would no longer allow us to do.
This area is divided almost north and south. From Park Street up until just past John Adams' house is all in the 1% zone, if you look at the map. And so that it could be buildable if elevated and all of, the correct permissions were granted by FEMA. The south half of this whole parcel is floodway, which will not probably ever be buildable or even be able to be purchased back.
So the, where the actual circle is,
That's in the floodway.
that's in the floodway.
Yes,
Not in the area that has a potential thing.
correct.
Because that was something that I know that PCDC was kind of concerned about.
All of Hickenlooper Way is in the floodway. That's why we live at Hickenlooper Way. But the section off of Park Street to the north is currently in the 1%.
So if this were a park and this is adjacent to the area that we're looking at for an orchard, would that exclude being able to have an orchard in there?
No, the orchard would be in the floodway.
We'd be uncomfortable doing that in 3 weeks. Sounds like there are a lot of questions that need to be answered in terms of what it binds us to in the future. And just so making that decision before the celebration doesn't seem wise to me. It's like I think we're rushing into something that I certainly don't understand the implications.
Must be awesome.
So I agree. I was curious, though, could it be a temporary name change? Just for the celebration, in the circle in that area, not something like just something that's just for the certain time period.
The circle did get your nod to call it Confluence Circle. So that's okay, that's done. And you can have a confluence circle in an R1. I mean, there's nothing saying. I mean.
It's like. If we decide we wanna zone that part, how much more will it cost to take care of, so, I think for the purposes of this event, calling it Confluence Circle is great, and then
Hey guys, so I'm really sorry to interrupt, but I'm losing you again.
in the future, you want to pursue subdividing it and making it part of the park and. Go ahead, Attorney Gittman.
Yeah, I'm losing you guys again. I'm wondering if it might be better if you turn off your videos. That seem to work a lot better.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. Well, we can refer to it as.
I just like to refer to it as something other than.
Okay, so let's think of a different word than park.
So otherwise known as the Stacy parcel. I mean, these are the two, we've been referring to it a lot.
Do we?
I'm not asking for us to create a park in the immediate. I just like to be able to refer to it as something other than the Stacy parcel or the FEMA bio property.
Can we call it Confluence Place?
Sure.
But the Parks and Rec, they like to confluence because it means coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they like the community idea too, because this circle will actually be like a community gathering space.
Yeah.
For class, and that's part of the Dr. Bach plan.
Because they wouldn't call any property, really.
It's kind of like the Martin parcel. We still call it the Martin parcel, but it's it's parks.
Yeah.
So I mean, we might have several properties we want to look at. I think getting it named, the Confluence Circle being named and getting a Google marker will be enough to get through especially knowing that event is really aimed at locals.
Yeah, and people know where it is.
And we just say at the end of Crystal Way, east of the Botanic Garden, but
You'd be surprised.
taking our time with the rest of this, is, I think there's to get some answers from the federal government first on, is there even potential? And
as with anything that's a zoning, it goes through a PCDC process first.
Well, I hadn't even realized that we need to rezone.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if it's just a matter of naming that particular area, but without, that seems fine. I mean, I like the confluence. I do too. I think most people know where the confluence is. If you asked me where the Stacy parcel was, you know, when I was reading it, I was like, oh my God, which one? So I did not remember.
I've probably explained where it is about 25 times. Yeah. Easily.
Well,
So
maybe,
that's
maybe
my
there's a
big
way to
concern.
add, maybe there's a way to add a tiny map to, right, the promotional materials.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you for bringing that forward. It's gonna be a good conversation. What should happen to that?
I look forward to having this discussion, and I agree that we shouldn't rush it, but I think I'm glad we're starting this discussion because I do see this as a legacy project.
Great. Okay, trustee reports. Trustee Elson, would you like to go first?
Sure, ladies. The EAB met after I came back from the cruise and I missed it, so maybe this.
Okay.
The SFC didn't meet. That was pretty-
Okay, it's up. SFC didn't meet. You guys had a summer break?
There were a lot of things going on for a lot of people, so we decided to wait.
Okay,
But I do have
Yes.
two things.
yes.
So I have a question, for Victoria, something I'd like to see in the future, doesn't have to be something permanent right away. So I'm curious, with now we have parking meters at different spots. If, not meters, but where we pay for parking.
Oh, paid
Paid
parking.
parking here, is there a way we can get a report to see how much each area brings in?
Sure.
So I'm just curious, it doesn't have to be something permanent, just more curiosity, because it's something like what we could use for during budgeting time, when we
Yeah.
get, put what the rates are. And I feel, I'm very concerned with golf carts, because I see a lot of golf carts driving on the highway. Driving where they're not supposed to, be, and I yell at people. So I'm concerned that we're all gonna lose our privilege for golf carts. So I don't know if it has to be more education.
So one specific area?
Coming from where Moxie used to be to Main Station.
Really?
Yes,
On Main
Nice.
Street?
on Main Street. I've seen it also coming out of Second Avenue, taking a right, going down 36, 66, and then taking an immediate left when it's dotted line, instead of using the crosswalk. And these are adults, not kids. So, but
Can Sergeant Sears give tickets for that?
Sure.
Let's make them
Well, and if
expensive.
they're not registered, I mean, we initiated that you have to register.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm gonna get an update on that too, because I think that the number registered, Dolores, I don't know if you know that offhand, but I think it's less.
It's very low, yeah.
It's a dozen.
So let's do some more education.
And because when you registered, you sign off that you understand that you can't be on the highway. And that this is the map where I can and cannot be, and all of those things. So my guess is it is folks that are not registered. But it's so dangerous.
Oh, no, I
So
agree.
dangerous, yeah,
It's just more of like bringing up the awareness.
thank you.
I actually have yelled too.
I have to, when I've been on my golf carts, I see it go.
I
They
twice.
look at me like crazy.
Treated me like I was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is, yeah, and it's been bad and
And there's,
standing on.
yes, and there's a lot of minors.
Oh,
I've seen a lot of minors driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe just overall golf cart awareness. Golf cart awareness month.
And if I can bring something up, I just know this has been a bit of an impediment for some people who haven't registered their golf carts yet. Some people don't know the VIN number of their golf cart,
You
and I
can
don't
put
know,
NA.
so I don't know if that's mandatory or
No,
not.
it's not, because I don't, mine doesn't have, mine is all pieced together, it doesn't have a VIN number, and I put NA in.
Okay,
So chop shop.
So, yeah, it is, yeah.
You just need a basic make and model and
Yeah,
color
a picture.
and a picture. It's just so that for that couple times we've had a car abandoned.
Yeah.
We know who to contact to say, you gotta move this thing, you know, even if it has a flat tire or its battery is dead, it's still yours to move, so.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. Appreciate it. Trustee Dottie.
Okay, I have 3 things to talk about. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. In property management and and so that I don't know if you remember last time. Few
Was that the?
So there were just a few people. There was the new ED who's Rhea, who
I
works
didn't
at
know
Bay
that.
Lodge. So Emily Crane has moved out of state.
Okay.
So now it's Rhea. I think she did Rhea Davenport. I think she works at Bay Lodge. Connie McGuire is often there. She's also on the EBC. In fact, there were 3 of us who were at the chamber meeting and 3 of us, the same 3 at the EBC.
Okay.
So, and that was kind of back to back. Who else was at the chamber meeting? Well, Erin Fowdy, she's always at this. Oh, and Bronwyn. Okay, yeah. So they're definitely, so they were brainstorming ideas as to how to get more people on the board. Obviously, it's not a big board. They need a president. Their numbers, have dropped since COVID. They're down to 53 members. I don't know if everybody's aware you can become an individual member. The Town of Lyons is a member of the chamber, and that's really helpful. They talked about the mandatory fire inspections that will take place starting in September, and the Fire Protection District talked about that as well. So I'm glad that there was communication there between the chamber and the Fire Protection District. Their next social will be at Farah, actually the new tapas restaurant in September. So if you want to know more about the chamber, I know they're very open about having everybody attend their socials. So when you learn more about that. The other questions they had were, can the chamber news be shared on eBlast? So for example, it's talking about socials. Can that go out so that new residents also hear about it? So that was a question about communications and how can we partner with them? And how can we get the word out?
That's it. Okay.
That's one question. Another question was, I think because it used to be Dr. Johnstone, I think the dentist used to hand out those little bags to new residents coming in. I don't know if anybody ever got one of those. I got one of those 11 years ago, but they were wondering, is there any way that, because they don't have a space to do this, that we could hand them out here at the reception area to new utility customers, for example? Is there a way? A lot of times there's goodies in those bags.
We did till they took it.
Okay.
They came and picked them all up.
We did it for years.
Oh, you did?
Worked very well.
Okay, well, I feel like that might be something they would be interested in pursuing again. And then finally, and I don't know if I brought this question up before, is it possible to share the list of business licenses with the chamber so that they can reach out to them. I don't
It's
know.
public knowledge
It is public knowledge.
for those who do have an active.
Right.
business. Yes.
Right. So these are all questions they had, and I think it would help our partnership with them. So again, the EDC meeting was the very next day, and I saw a few of the same people. One. So TIF financing and also the revolving loan fund. We talked about winter events. Oh, we did tell you, wanted to know about the minimum wage and how they felt about that. So I know they've drafted a statement that everybody on the EDC will give feedback on before they submit it to the Board of Trustees.
Get feedback from the.
From the commissioners, from the. Really love to see the visitor center on Main Street with going towards Essex Park. And then code enforcement. I think they are interested in finding out when we will have a code compliance officer. They're thinking about the 2-hour parking limits on High Street, where I have also pointed them out to people and said, you know, if you're going to ride your bike up to Antelope Trail, you need to be back in 2 hours because we only have 2 hours to park there. So that was the EDC. Are there any questions about the EDC or the Housing and Human Services or Chamber of Commerce?
No.
Okay, and I know I already presented to you last time, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. Everybody has seen this, received this. We would love for you to join us at all of these events. If you can make it to this one on Sunday at 11 a.m., just know that Governor Polis will be there and Senators Hickenlooper and Bennett and Congressman Goose, as well as our county commissioners.
And some other elected folks too.
Lots of elected officials, lots of agencies. We're getting tons of emails and calls right now. I don't know that everybody will be able to speak. We only have a limited time.
No, everybody will not be able.
So we haven't finalized the program right now. We're still getting back from people. There are a lot of people interested in this. We will have the Salvation Army there. We will have the Red Cross there. And those are like, I think that's very, yes, I think that's very important for people who were here during the flood who depended on the Red Cross and Salvation Army. They will have their canteen trucks there. And we can support them. Actually, we can support the efforts in Lahaina by giving a donation directly there if you want to. So I would strongly suggest, if you could all make it to the official ceremony. And then I emailed everybody about the luncheon afterwards. And then we'll have the flood exhibits and the silver lining tours from 12:30 to 4. And the community gathering at the end of the day at Laverne Johnson Park. There'll be a picnic, there'll be music, mostly flood related songs that musicians created at the time. And Mayama will be dancing. And now I think they're gonna get the public up as well, because they feel like movement helps energy flow, right? Yes, moving energy. And then finally, the candlelight vigil at Confluence Circle. We
Thank
called it
you.
Confluence Circle.
Thank you.
On the Monday at 6:30, and that will be led by Sri Moreau, our mental health therapist at Leaf.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all your hard work on this.
Yeah.
It's exactly,
Really.
it's exactly.
Thank
It's
you.
exactly.
That was 10 minutes, not 15.
That was 12.
12. Thank you for counting.
29.
Thank
You've
you.
got 30 more seconds. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, I have 5 things, so. You're not alone. All right, the PCDC, will be having a meeting next Tuesday rather than on Monday. Because there were several folks who were not going to be able to make the Monday meeting. They did not meet last Monday because of some vacations. So it does sound like that's kind of
Going around.
August is a difficult month. But nonetheless, they just are bumping it one day, so it is gonna happen. The comp plan priorities list, I just really want to thank you for doing this and thank you for the printing it out. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to look at theirs, but I would really like it to see if maybe as an agenda request workshop perhaps that we could actually do some kind of a go through this and identify some of the priorities to give to our commissions, you know, that we asked them to do the work on and also help us to thinking about our budgets and priorities. So I just wanted to bring that back up. I got an email today from Wildfire Partners. This is via Boulder County, and they're launching a countywide community shipping program. And basically by neighborhood or your street, wherever you might live in town, 5 neighbors can come together and request from Boulder County to bring in a shipper. And you do your street, your neighborhood shipping. And I think this could to coordinate this with Boulder County, perhaps. Maybe we can do more educational push. But if we could potentially take this off of our budget, and maybe you can remind me, what did it end up costing us? Quite a lot.
Was it 12,000?
For the last time? Don't know.
Okay, I don't want to put you on the spot, but we seem to exceed our expectations financially every year. And so I really think that this is something that we should consider and find a way to get our neighbors and our community residents by streets or something to start actively shipping with Boulder County. And anything that we can do to help promote that, I would love for us to do. And then my last one, again, it was actually the road safety light. I literally the other day, and this happens every single time I am at the intersection, either in my car or wanting to walk.
that light changes and I guarantee people are speeding right through the light. It
Way
is,
after it changes.
yes, I mean, dangerous. And I would love to see these people get caught. I really would. I am no longer caring about tickets in town, or I have no more empathy for anybody who is speeding and running lights. And it's like step on the gas from way back. So I just, it is scary. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there along with all the other safety concerns that we still have around town too.
Yeah, because it was the accident too on Main Street, just when school stopped, car flipped over. So during the school day, right off across from.
Rollover.
I didn't know that.
Everybody, yeah.
There was a rollover right in front of,
Diner
the
bar.
shopette,
Yeah.
in front of, not as far as the diner bar, it's more in front of the dairy bar.
Yeah, that's it, yes.
And it was two youths, local.
Yeah.
Brandon car.
Yeah,
They
brand
just
new car,
got-
yeah. My daughter knows.
And they walked
Yes,
away
fine.
fine, they
Yes,
walked away unscathed, but amazing that you can do a rollover in a
25 mile an hour
Right.
section.
Yeah. Does CDOT get reports about accidents like that?
CDOT, they're the lead sheriffs now. Anything on the highways responded to by state patrol.
Okay,
We may be the first there, you know, our sheriff or fire, but it's the state patrol who has to.
because
do
And it should
the-
be evidence.
we know that CDOT really doesn't want to make any changes unless there's data supporting those changes.
But it's like, how are they collecting data so that we can assess the thing?
Well, I think a red light camera there
Yeah.
would be a great idea.
Well, and also, Sergeant Sears' statistics report, I mean, it was really obvious on the report that of the 444 tickets delivered this year, 387 of them were for speeding. That's an easy statistic right there, and it sounds like it's at the entrances to Lions.
Well, but I think, I don't want to make this a conversation about CDOT, so maybe we can have an agenda item at some point to talk about how all that works. But I think the danger is that CDOT inverts the speed limit.
Yeah, it is, because if they do a speed study, they will use the 85th percentile of what cars are going, not what they should be going.
Oh, I see.
That's why they encourage us regularly not to do a speed study along 36 in front of the businesses, because they'll actually be raising the speed.
Yeah, so I think it's enforcement.
Well, and coming into budget season though, if we need more of those, I still don't know the name of those mobile speed.
We still have to have their permission.
Do we have two of those? Is there a way to station one at the entrance and one like at both? I would say even three, right? It would be Highway 36, Highway 7, and then
I don't
at
think
the
it works.
entrance.
I don't think
You don't think when they flash your speed, that doesn't slow
No.
people down?
They're going
No,
with the, if they're going with the
I think-
rest of the.
getting stopped by a cop would.
For sure. And he did talk about extra patrol. I mean, they're already on track. They're already, where we were last year at the end of the year. I'm just wondering, is that, can we ask that they be at, the
Well, that's why
entrances
the
to Lions?
tickets are up so high this year. We've
Right.
had extra patrol that we didn't have the pandemic years. And they're here and they're writing tickets. So that's why it looks like they're up, and we have one officer that's really pretty assertive with them. And so, I think that's why we're seeing those numbers up.
Well,
They're going back to what they used to be pre-pandemic.
So. We'll make a future agenda.
Yeah.
item to look into this. Thank you. Are you?
I'm done.
Okay, Trustee Delman.
So I'll say quickly that rollover, I did 100-yard dash to
Yes.
get there, and those kids, I couldn't believe they hopped out, and the public work, Jake, he ran over to help as well.
And I did recognize him for being first on the scene and assisting.
And Sheriff, I think Rosie was right at the diner bar, so he just hopped over. So for the PRC, one of the big things at the meeting was coming up with a name for the confluence area. And so another thing they spoke about were the traffic concerns on Highway 7. Just like Lydia Olson spoke about today. So those are the main things from that. And then I guess my thing also on Highway 36, another traffic. But when you're turning left, if you're heading west, you turn left onto Park Street. There, I don't know if they're Russian sage, but in the center, there are some bushes that actually make it a little hard to see the oncoming traffic. So I,
Highway 36 Park is parallel. Do you have the wrong street?
when you're turning,
Oh, you're cutting down by in front of the Habitat houses. Is that where it's at?
yeah, right there. If you're turning to go basically south,
Yep.
the center plants hide the one lane of oncoming traffic. It's my whole. Yeah.
Thank you. Trustee Williams.
So, HPC did not have a quorum to topic of bid, meeting in September 20. Maggie from Opinions gonna be in line in early September to tour the museum, do the history of walking tour. We don't really get up to speed with everything we know. Outlines history, HPC members will be involved there. Priscilla oversaw and completed the first set of deliverables for the grant. They're on track, moving ahead. Next things aren't really required until next March. Michael Donovan formally resigned from the HPC, so we need the members.
Michael Donovan.
And, yeah, Sarah got that letter. And then, some question about the depot. Do we need to be requesting that, or can you request that? Just as supervisor to request that designation? Because otherwise the board's gonna have to make that request.
I don't know. I was hoping that's what you guys were looking into, is what does it
Yeah,
take?
it would appear that we have to make. I mean, there's some question as whether or not we have to approve every single one.
Oh, okay.
And,
For local?
yeah, and looking for the state to get back to them on that. But, yeah, just as it comes to the request of it, not the approval of it, request of it. Can the request come from staff, or does the request have to come from here? And then the same thing's gonna be true for town hall. So that we don't have the answer to.
All right.
And yeah, that's it. That's all of it. You know that. I do want. I just count it, just count it. I saw one car coming up with, had my friend's dog, and was down there. So the light changed and she's eager to go, and I saw one car coming. I started counting. Full count of 5 seconds. Still went through the light. I mean, in the town. It was a rental car. It had the
Red plate.
it's not what I mean, you could spot them a mile away. It wasn't the red plate rental car. It was just. But I mean, so yeah. That's about the worst I've seen. And that is a very heavily used intersection for our. And so we really haven't.
And
It's gotten much worse.
yeah. I would really be interested to know what it would take to get the red light cameras. And the speeding bans. I mean, I personally cannot count the number of times I've gotten photo radar tickets, like I'm eating and each driving, And I think there are people who complain about them, but they are really effective. It's like, you see the flash.
It's worked on me. Yeah.
I can tell you which intersections I do not try to rush through in Boulder.
See, so let's find out, and then we can discuss that during budget.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. Are you something? Okay. So the LEHC met, talked a lot about the upcoming budget requests, and LEHC typically has a pretty long list, so they will again. And I went to the St. Mary Valley School District on vacation, which was really lovely. It was at Silver Creek High School. There were 2 sessions and it was Dr. Haddad welcoming the teachers to the new school year. It was really, he's a great speaker and it was really very inspirational. So it was great to be there with Mayor Brooks from Erie. I gave testimony last Thursday morning to the county commissioners about a potential ballot measure regarding funding affordable housing. And so I encourage them to put that on the ballot. It is an existing tax. And the exciting part of the discussion for me was that I sent Ted a message saying he wanted to go, but I think he will on a cruise. So you're excused. But we learned about the Northwest Rail Project, which is different from those of us who have been around a while. We're still scarred from past tracks that never happened. But this new project would eventually build a rail from Pueblo to Wyoming. And there would be a stop in Boulder and a stop in Longmont. Obviously, there won't be a spur to Lions. They're not going to build a rail. They're going to be using station. They're going to be using existing rail lines, and they haven't quite. The working group hasn't quite figured out funding yet, but they're not talking about a tax right now. Instead, they're talking about a fee potentially on entertainment tickets for sporting events. So that looks like that's moving forward. So that's very exciting. Trustee Dottie and I went to the Lions Fire Protection District meeting. Yeah, was that yesterday? Sunday. I think it would be terrific to have them come and present to the full board. One of the things that I was really excited about was Lions is getting an ambulance and paramedics. So that'll cut the response time from 20 minutes to minutes. And since we passed the mill levy for them, they will, the way that Chief Sick explained it, and I hope I'm explaining it correctly. If we call for an ambulance, they bill the insurance company. Anything that the insurance company does not pay, we are not responsible for.
And that's just for town of Lions.
That's for town of Lions residents. So I think that does a lot for public safety because we all know a lot of people don't call ambulances because they're so expensive. So, but I would like Chief Sick to speak to that more. And that is it for me.
Can I back up one minute? I forgot.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention, so I'd like a request for a workshop or just information. And I'm not trying to open a can of worms, it's just more for knowledge, how Planet Bluegrass works with the vendors.
With their vendors,
With the vendors.
in regard to sales tax?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
yeah.
Sure.
So I was just curious.
We're ready.
Things there. Because I noticed, I got a receipt for something and it said a different town, said Salina. So I know it all is supposed to go to Boulder and come to us, but I'm just curious how it all works. So as opposed to just for knowledge. So.
And I'm always curious when it comes to these events like the camping in LeBron Johnson Park, how much revenue does that generate again? I always forget that number, but I'm always curious as to.
Maybe we could have Cassie attend at some point and do kind of a primer on how that works and
Yeah, just for
she can
knowledge.
answer the questions that she is able to.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, anybody have anything else?
I do have one more thing.
Yes.
I just want you to note that the Main Street lighting project has started. So
Yes.
if you haven't been down there and you're wondering what's going on, the trees on the 400 block have all been trimmed up nice and high. They are installing the underground wiring on that block, and those trees, they think they will be ready to light by our event.
Oh, very
And so the 400 block, all depends on how Wi-Fi will act. We'll be able to reprogram them either all at once or individually by tree. But it should be, I think there's something like 24 options of colors and patterns and, you know, that for the 400 block, which will really help us out again at the holidays, saving a lot of time and money. But also then, the 300 block of Maine will have this, what they call it runway festoon lighting, because there's not enough trees. So it'll be, each block will be a little different, but, we'll certainly, hopefully again, slow people down and, really make Main Street look attractive, especially with some of our current vacancies.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Summary of action items, please.
Okay, item one, I've got, staff's going to reach out to CDOT on traffic and road safety measures for the Mealy and Prospect neighborhoods. They're also to research the photo red light cameras on cost and availability. The liquor license transfer was approved for Moxie to be transferred to 442 High Street. Ordinance 1151 was moved to a date certain of September 5th, 2023. The town is to work with the community farm to update maps and assist with public awareness. Steps to continue researching the renaming of the Stacy parcel. The board would like paid parking numbers. They'd like an update on what revenue, paid parking revenue. And also an update to the community on golf cart rules and regulations. A potential workshop to identify comp plan priorities and to assign commissions. The board would also like to see a speed limit enforcement agenda item. And we are to research if the request for local historical designation can come from staff or from the HPC itself. We're also to request that Lions Fire District, not HPC,
From the town staff.
just from town staff.
Town staff.
Thank you.
Or the BOT, yeah.
Or the board of trustees.
Yeah.
Right. But it needs to come from the board or whether.
From the staff. The next one I have is we are to request that the Lions Fire District present to the Board of Trustees at a future meeting. And then also a potential workshop on Planet Bluegrass and vendors and sales tax. And also an update from finance on Planet Bluegrass and Wilbur and Johnson numbers. Did I miss anything?
Membership for HPC, we need to start advertising for that. Did have one other one earlier up here. The safety issues in regard to the markings by the new head bridge.
Yeah.
That Edward keep.
So can I just
No.
amend what I said?
No, you can talk to Dolores afterwards.
He just means Park Street. He meant-
That's all.
Oh, okay.
Drew a picture.
You do.
Give it up.
So following up on those safety concerns there, as well as the one on the median at Park Street and intersection with Highway 36. And I think. Look like, oh, and then some questions and working with the chamber, EDC, sound like there's some follow-up to be done there. Wildfire partners, seeing if there's ways to partner. I read that as well, and I wasn't sure if it included inside municipalities or if it's just county when I read it.
Oh.
So you might want to just read it from that lens.
Maybe
Is
you
it
can find
only
out.
Boulder County? Yeah, so, yeah, I just have it to collaborate, we'll follow up on
Okay.
that.
Brandon, did you have anything?
I didn't have anything additional. Of course, I didn't hear all the meeting. Just maybe figure out the owl for next time, what's going on.
Yeah,
It's the Wi-Fi more.
It's the
for whatever
Wi-Fi.
reason.
I figured it might be the broadband, kind of given the issue we've been having. Okay.
So Attorney Dittman and board, just so you're reassured, because we're required by law to, record these meetings, it is recorded on YouTube. So we
Yes.
will have a full recording despite us going in and out here.
So is there a separate camera doing that recording?
No,
Okay.
just the recording in the meeting.
Okay, I didn't
okay,
know.
all
Okay, sounds good.
right, and maybe at some point we do need to talk about coming back in person 100%. So, okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
great.
And that motion passed unanimously.
Thank you, everybody.
Sure.
Before 9 o'clock. Okay, but how do we rate tonight's